iOS universal links and Android app links are a way to securely deep link into your app from a web URL. In this video, you'll learn how to configure both of these on your Expo Router project. The example from this video is open source, and you'll find the link in the description. This is the example project we'll be using, and it's all built with Expo Router. It's an Ecomm app with two bottom tabs. The product listing page is on the second tab, and the product details page opens as a modal. So right now we have an iOS app, an Android app, and the corresponding website. Now what we'd like to achieve is that when a user clicks on a link to a product details page, for example from an email, and if they have the app installed, then they will get deep linked into the app instead of the same page in the browser. This is called universal links on iOS and app links on Android. In order to set up universal links on iOS, we need to establish a two-way association between the mobile app and the deployed website. For the web side, this means that the deployed website needs to contain a specific endpoint that lists which pages or which apps should be deep linked to. This is a public endpoint, most often at well-known Apple App Site Association. And indeed, you can even look at other popular websites to see theirs. The Apple Site Association is used for more than just universal links. It's also the key to unlocking things like shared credentials and Apple Handoff. But let's just focus on universal links for now. This is under App Links, Details, and we see which apps have been associated with this website, and also which paths. The iOS app ID consists of your team ID and the bundle identifier. You must have an Apple developer account for this. There's really no way around it. If you've already registered your app ID, you will find the identifier listed here. It is really important that it matches the bundle identifier your installed app is using. I'm just going to make sure my EAS CLI is up to date. I haven't registered this app ID yet, so let me just use EAS init to register this project on EAS. Then EAS build configure to create the EAS JSON, and then EAS credentials to configure all the build credentials to build this app. Importantly for now, it automatically registered this bundle identifier, which I can now also see in the identifiers list. Let's add a public folder in our root directory, and inside it a folder called .wellknown. And inside that a file called Apple App Site Association. This will be a JSON file, and we'll add a top-level object for app links, and inside it an array of details. And details will be an array of objects, each with an app ID and the paths to link to. The app ID will be the app ID prefix and the bundle ID. And for paths, we just want to link all product details pages. Let's make sure that the web output is set to server mode. And export the web project into a deployable bundle. Now we'll need to deploy the website. I'll use EAS hosting, which is by far the fastest way to deploy Expo web projects. So now we have the website deployed, and if we open the well-known Apple App Site Association, we'll see the JSON file with the details we configured. Now that we've associated the website with the app, for two-way association, we also need to associate the app with the website. In your app JSON, add the associated domain for app links. So this is applinks, and the domain name without the HTTPS. Now this associated domain actually gets bundled within your native app, so we need to rebuild the app for it to take effect. Let's kick off a preview build for iOS that will include this associated domain. Something to note that the EAS CLI does automatically is it synced the capabilities, so it enabled associated domains for this app ID. And what this means is now if I go to the Apple Developer Console and look at my app ID, you'll notice that the associated domains is enabled. If you're using EAS for build signing, it's really important not to do this manually and let EAS handle it. Now, I've installed this app on my phone from EAS. iOS checks for associated domains when the app is installed, by the way, so if you ever make any changes to the associated domains file, you'll need to uninstall and reinstall the app. Now, recall we only associated the product pages. So let's click on a link to the home page. This opens the website in Safari where we can browse around. When we go to any of the linked pages, it actually also shows us this nice little header in Safari, telling us that we have an associated app installed. Now let's instead click a link to the product listing page. This opens the app. And the same for the product details pages, which open the modal with the product details. The deep linking to the correct page is one of the many awesome things we get for free with Expo Router. If you're using a different navigation library, you need to listen to the incoming URL and direct to the correct page yourself. Something worth noting is that URL params are passed on as well. I have some code in the PDP that says if the URL includes this promo equals true, we discount the product by $5. You see it working here on the web. And it also works if I click on this universal link. For Android app links, we need to establish a two-way association between the Android app and the deployed website. On the web, this means that the deployed website needs to contain a well-known asset links JSON endpoint with information on which apps it's linked to. This is a public endpoint, so we can explore other popular websites to see theirs. For example, here's Facebook's. The important parts here are the package name, so this is the package name for the Android app to associate with, and the SHA-256 fingerprint of the key store that the app was signed with. I haven't built my Android app yet, so let me just kick off a preview build. I'll also kick off a production build, and I'll show you why in a bit. When I triggered this preview build, I've asked EAS to generate a new Android key store. And now on expo.dev, if we go to the project, credentials, and the Android app, we'll be able to get the SHA-256 fingerprint for the preview build. For the production build, if you're using Play Store Managed Signing, and you should, the key store stored on EAS is only used for uploading the app bundle and not actually signing it. So you'll need to view the SHA-256 fingerprint on Google Play instead. Let me just quickly create an app on Google Play. And I'll download the bundle for my Android Play Store build, so this is the production build that we did. I'll create my first internal testing release and I'll drag and drop my app bundle in here. This is the important part here that says releases are signed by Google Play. And I'll publish this for internal testing. Now in the side menu, if we go to Setup and App Signing, you'll see the information about the key store that's actually used to sign this build for Google Play releases. Most importantly for us, this is where we find the production SHA-256 fingerprint. As we're using Expo Router for both the Android app and the website, we can do all the configuration in the same codebase. We already have a public and a well-known folder, so let's also add the assetlinks.json file. In this file, the relation and the namespace you want to keep as is, but the package name and fingerprints are related to your app. The package name will be the one that you use to build your Android app, and we'll add both the preview and the production fingerprints, which we can do because the package name is the same. So for the preview one, we'll get it from the key store that's stored on EAS. And for production, we'll get it from the key store that's stored on Google Play. Now we want to export our web project into a deployable bundle and deploy it to production. I'm using EAS hosting for this, which is the fastest way to deploy your Expo Router web projects. And now when I open my deployed website, you can see the asset links file we've just configured. Coming back to the mobile app, we need to add an intent filter, basically to declare which URLs we want to deep link for. So we'll have the scheme, the host, and the path prefix, basically to link all the product pages. Setting auto-verify as true here is also extremely important, since the links are checked against the website when the app is installed. This is a native change, so we'll need to rebuild the Android app. Once my preview build is finished, I can install it on my Android phone. If you press and hold on the app icon and open App Info, and then scroll down to Open by default, you can actually see that we now have one verified link, the one we configured. Now recall that only product pages are linked. So let's click on a link to the home page. This opens the website and we can browse around. But now when we click on the product listing page, this opens the app. And same for the product details page. Deep linking to the correct page without any additional config is something we actually get for free, courtesy of Expo Router. If you're using a different navigation library, you'll need to configure these links to redirect to the correct page yourself. As with iOS, URL params are also passed through. So this URL param that I have configured, which will discount a product by $5, will also work when clicking on the app link. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on setting up iOS universal links and Android app links with Expo Router. Thank you for watching!